Morning, y'all. Today's video is going to be about how I clean and maintain my knives. The knife I'm going to use today is a Cold Steel 8015. It is an Andrew Demko design, and as you can see, it's got this fairly unique scorpion lock on it. It's something that I actually, when I first got it, I didn't like. I thought it was not very intuitive. But as I've used it more and more and more, I've realized I actually like it a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that knife today. And I'm going to be using a couple of products. First and foremost, I use alcohol swabs. I also will use some Zippo, lighter fluid if there's some really sticky residue like tape, which is a problem I typically have a lot with knives because I use them all the time to cut boxes. So I'm going to try and use the alcohol wipes to clean it off. This is not going to be a full-blown cleaning, but I am going to use a cleaning. Next, the next product I'm going to use is just to touch up the knife. I'm going to use my sharp maker, and when I get to that, I'll explain to you how I'm going to use that. This knife is actually pretty sharp. I just want to touch it up a little. I will also, after I use my sharp maker, I will use my Knives Plus strop block, which has got the green compound on it, leather on kind of a composite wood, and it's got the green compound impregnated in it, so I will strop it a little bit on that. And then lastly, to my wife's dismay, my kind of cleaning all-in-one best product on the market is Ballistol. And if you have not used this product, it is probably the most amazing thing you can buy, in my opinion. I actually think it smells delicious, or smells good. Delicious is a weird way to describe it. But my wife actually hates it, the smell of it, but otherwise I think it's a great product. I also you can use this for firearms, you can use it for leather, you can use it for wood, you can use it obviously for things like that, knives. Like just yesterday, I had an old rake that I'd left outside, and it was starting to dry out and rot a little bit. And so I took some sandpaper, I think it was 120 grit sandpaper, and kind of sanded it down smooth, and then soaked it in Ballistol, and the Ballistol soaked up into that broom hand or the rake handle, and it was amazing. So that's what I'm going to use. I also have kind of a couple of other things. Oops, I have a homemade strop that I've used before, which I just made this little handle on it, carved that out of a piece of plywood, I think this was, and then glued an old belt to it. Sometimes I use that. Really, this kind of fine leather side. That is a white stropping compound, and I don't like it necessarily as much. I also have a work sharpener that I use occasionally, depending on the knife I'm using. And I actually sharpen my axe with this. And later on in the video, I will show you an axe that I sharpen on this work sharp knife sharpener by Ken Onion. This thing's pretty amazing, although I don't love it on my knives unless they're really dull or something like that, and then I use kind of those other grips to get it back in. I can talk about that later on in another video, but that is something that I love, but I don't use for every single thing. So let's go ahead and start. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up fully. One more thing. I have a couple of things. This is an actual cloth cleaning rag. I got it from my cousin. He uses it for computer type stuff, and then also these like kind of Q-tip things. They're more of a spongy material on a plastic rod you can hear. So that's, you know, almost like canvas. So that's real thick stuff. So I will use that as well. But the first thing I do is you can kind of see, and I'm not going to do a full-blown cleaning on this because it's really not that bad. This is going to be more for like kind of demonstration purposes. But I am going to use this to really try to get into and around. And I want to be very careful. The reason I use this rather than my fingers, I don't want to run my finger along that edge. But all I'm looking to do here is just kind of clean up the oily residues that are on it right now. Any smudges from fingerprints. You can see kind of in here, there's just a little bit of grime right in here. So I'm gonna kind of get in there with, I got a little bit of that alcohol on my thing. You can see, I'm trying to look into the viewfinder while I'm doing this, so I apologize if it... And really all I'm trying to do here is get the worst of the gunk out, because I'm also going to spray this thing down with Ballistol. Alright, that's enough of that. So then I'm going to take, just to make sure I remove all that extra alcohol. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squirt a little Ballistol on this rag. And really all I'm doing right now is wiping everything down. I'm not trying to necessarily lubricate the knife yet. But what I want to do is to make sure, because there are pores in the metal. And so what I'm trying to do here, and remember, I'm being very careful of this edge, because that edge is sharp. So I am keeping my fingers away. But make sure to get just a little bit of oil in the metal, just to make sure there's no rust, or that it won't rust. This is S35VN steel, so it is not probably prone to rust anyways, but I like to do that just in case. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close up the knife, as you see, and I'm just going to kind of give it a once over. And look at the handle. See if there's really anything. I love this coloration. You've got this kind of dark green G10 with a fairly rough texture. And then you've got this almost like bronzish scorpion lock. I love that contrast. There's a little bit of stuff on that. So I will use the Ballistol rag to just kind of wipe it up a little bit. Maybe I need to switch to a spot with a little bit more. Once over once again. All right, so that is about the extent of my cleaning. The only thing I really want to do now is I want to add, oops, sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to scoot my chair a little closer. The next thing I want to do is I want to just add a little bit of lubrication to the pivot. And this knife in particular is real easy because you can see much of that pivot is exposed. You know, unlike other knives where you would be spraying down into the knife. You don't really need to do that. You just need to put a drop or two on either side. You know, I've lost the little spray nozzle, the little straw that goes with it, but a little bit, you can see that's even too much. A little bit goes a long way. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure I work that into all around, because you can imagine, I'll use this as a pointer, what you want to do is spread it all around, because there's going to be a washer underneath here, in between the metal liner and the blade, that there's going to be a washer, and you really just want to get that oil all along that washer. So I'm just kind of working it in and out a couple of times, making sure that that oil is spread. And then the last thing I'm going to do is wipe off any of the excess. I don't want this thing greasy. right? I want it to be a smooth action, but I don't want any sort of liquid dripping out of it. What I'm looking to do right here, as you can kind of see with the reflection of the light, is I'm looking for the evenness of the sharpening. It's hard to explain how to actually feel this, but you can almost feel in some spots, like particularly here, where I use it a lot more, and definitely at the tip a little bit, you can almost feel the sharpness. Like right here, it's just razor sharp. I mean, that's sharp enough to shave the hair on my... You can probably hear that. That's definitely sharp enough to shave the hair. But just up at the tip here is just a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and just touch it up a little bit. I don't feel like I really need to use a lot. Let me get all this stuff out of the way, clean up my area a little bit. Put these wipes, alcohol wipes back that I don't need. And I don't know what it necessarily the angle is from the factory, but I'm going to use the 30-degree bevel, which is, if you can look on a sharp maker, you've got two sides. You've got the 30, and then over here you've got the 40 side. So, and I'm going to use the fine ceramic sticks. Since I don't really need to, I'm just touching it up. All you're going to do is you're going to, let me move this a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, is you're going to hold the knife upright, and I held it a little bit more of an angle towards the tip, and you're just going to run it along evenly along this sharpener. And you want to do even number of strokes. And the way the sharp maker works is this kind of angular side is actually going to create a little bit more of a rougher blade, right? It's going to be a lot more toothy, and then when you get to this flat side, it's going to be a lot smoother. So I'm just doing the flat side because I don't think my knife really needs that angular side. And I'm just going to recheck. All right, I think that did it. So go ahead and close up your knife. I'm going to put this away. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Knives Plus drop block, and I'm just going to pass over it a couple of times. Essentially, I hold the same angle that I would as the bevel of the knife, right? Which you got to kind of get a feel for that, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm essentially putting no pressure. I'm letting just the weight of the knife do it. And all I'm really doing here is ensuring that it's just a little bit more polished than normal. And like I said, this knife was already pretty sharp. I do see a flat spot right there on my blade. So I'm going to draw it a couple of times, and yep, that took care of it. What I did there, folks, is I saw a little bit of a flat spot on my blade right here, which means if you can imagine the point of the knife is like this, it's just bent over a little bit, and that bend reflects the light differently. And so you can kind of look at the knife. Actually, you can probably see it right there. And so what I'm trying to do is just ensure that I get that flat spot, because that will hang up. And yeah, it looks like that pretty much did it. All right, and that is how I clean and maintain a pocket knife. I think this is the most important steps of having a pocket knife, because I think that the true purpose of having a knife is to be able to cut things when you need to. And to have that and maintain that razor sharp, I think, makes the knife a lot safer. My opinion has always been that you know, people used to carry knives all the time, and I think it's a good thing. It's not a weapon in my eyes. I've never looked at it as a weapon. You know, I'm a dad with kids, and I use a knife every single day. cut open packages, cut open the mail, cut strings, garden. You know, I'm a big gardener, and so I use it for that too. You know, cut twine, open bags of mulch and things like that. And I just feel like a sharper knife is a lot safer, which I know seems counterintuitive, but a sharper knife allows you to pass through things a lot easier. And therefore it makes it so you're not struggling as much. Like the knife actually does all the work. All right, I said I wanted to show an axe at the very end. Oh, I apologize, I moved the tripod again. Let me grab it real quick and talk to you just briefly about this Work Sharp. I could do a separate video if there's interest. But I wanted to show you the type of blade. This is as you can see, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this is a Husqvarna Swedish axe. And this is used, I have used it outside, but I can get this axe using the Work Sharp, and it's not now because I was using it out back, but, and I know you can't feel this, but I can get this shaving sharp. And I actually feel like having a shaving sharp axe is not quite as important as a shaving sharp knife, but if you can do it, why not do it? And that's what I love about that Work Sharp, is that everything's consistent. The reason I say I don't necessarily love it compared to my Spyderco is probably not anything negative about the Work Sharp itself. Just probably more along the lines of man, I can just get the Spyderco, using the Spyderco Sharp Maker, I can get it so sharp that I just don't feel like I should switch. You know, maybe that's me being stubborn. I bought this thing, I think maybe I got it as a birthday present for my wife or something like that. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I can get a knife polished, mirror polished sharp. But I also can do it on the Sharp Maker, and I've been kind of sharpening on the Sharp Maker for so long that that's kind of what I'm used to. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a full-blown review of this knife. I also plan on starting to produce more videos for this channel. I'm going to be able, coming very soon, to produce a lot more. And I want to do some of the knife reviews that I have. I've got tons of knives. I've got a really particular interest in what I like in a knife, so this is definitely one of them that when I first purchased, I thought, I can't believe I bought this knife. I don't really like it. But since it's honestly the knife I carry almost every day. It's my favorite knife, and at least right now. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.